This is a little tour of Seastar's sails. This first shot shows the current J2 and main. Both of these were built in 2023. The J2 is an excellent sail from about 10 knots up to 20, depending on sea state. You might also notice that it is sheeted outside of the front lower, but the lowers go pretty slack when we're going upwind, so you can actually bring this sail in pretty tight, so it actually goes upwind very well. The main has 2 reefing points and is still in excellent shape. This is a shot of the J3 and the old main. The old main is actually still in pretty good shape, but not as good as the current 2023. And the old main has 3 reefing points, which is something that we had set up for Pack Cup. So it's a thought to potentially use this sail because it is, again, still in very good shape and it's designed to take a fair amount of wind strength. The J3 actually has reefing points, so you can actually reef it down. The J3 has also been recut a little bit since this picture was taken, so it's actually slightly smaller than this. We've trimmed off the leech a little bit because it was starting to curl. So it's an even smaller sail than this and kind of fills in the wind range with winds above about 20 knots or so, with the J2 really filling in most of the spectrum, but the J3 going in above 20, and if you reef it, going in really above 30 knots, probably all the way up to maybe around 40. We haven't really sailed it in conditions like that. This shows the new main being put up by the sailmaker in 2023. And this is a close-up of the cloth that the main is made out of. It's primarily carbon with some Kevlar reinforcement. This is an older shot of the boat, mainly here to show the existing J1. The J1 is still in pretty good shape, although I'm not completely sure that I would actually bring it on a Pacific Cup race unless the first few days forecast looked like it was going to be extremely light. But this sail is pretty big, and when you roll it up, it still takes up a lot of space down below. This is the old main also, again, still in pretty good shape and probably still a good sail to take on the Pack Cup. This is another shot of the same 2 sails from another angle. Here is the old J3, or rather, excuse me, the existing J3, and the old backup main from a different angle. And we'll even throw in the battle flag for free. Getting into downwind sails now, this is the workhorse of the boat, really. This is the S2. It's made out of Arex 750 material, relatively light. Depending on sea state, this sail is good up to as much as 20 knots, again, also depending on sea state and wind angle. It goes deep very well. This also shows the carbon pole in action. This is what the S2 looks like to the competitors as you overtake them. And this is a nice little drone video that someone shot a long time ago with the S2 showing a lot of different actions. It's very light conditions here. So this is where the S2 really excels in getting good downwind speed. This is the S3. This is made out of Arex 950 material. This is a really good kite for both reaching and also for running in heavier winds. So if we were going downwind, I would use this kite above about 25 knots. And I'd use it for reaching, depending on the situation, going around buoys, for instance. We'll use this kite for reaching and for running in stronger winds. And here's an example of the same kite going downwind. This is probably in about 20 knots. Same kind of situation here for the S3. Now we're going to move into the asymmetric kites now. This is a shot of the asymmetric A2, there's not a lot of pictures of this kite because we tend to only use it offshore, and we normally fly it on the pole. And the main strength of this kite is that it is really easy to trim. So it's a really nice kite to use on long legs when you know you're not going to have to jibe very often. Here's a shot of the same kite. I think we were just playing around with the kite on a beer can when we didn't really want to put up the pole or anything. So here we've got it tacked down to the bow. The boat is rigged for a tack line that you can adjust from either side. And we were probably doing this because it was super light wind and we were going to have to reach pretty high anyway. So we decided to use the asymmetric kite. This is the A3. This is possibly my second favorite kite compared to the S2. The A3 is an excellent reaching kite and is made out of Eric's 950 also, so it's a pretty tough kite. Here's an excellent, possibly one of my favorite shots of the boat with the A3 up and getting ready to transition from the A3 to the S2 as the wind started going further and further back. That's an old main, by the way, that we don't have on the boat anymore. It doesn't exist anymore because it was just too light and pretty much fell apart in the San Francisco winds. Another shot of the same day showing the A3 tacked down to the bow. Very fun sail to use when you've got winds up to about almost on the beam and around maybe 12 knots or so. The stronger the wind, the deeper you'd have to go with this kite until you would actually transition over to one of the reachers or jibs. Another really good shot of the A3 in action. And another one, you can tell I really like this sail. Plus, there's a nice version of it for the Christmas tree. We'll throw that in for free as well. And then these are some older backup sails that we have also available. This is a very old polyester kite that was actually recut from a very large boat. I think the boat this came off of was a 50-footer, so we had to take about 10 feet of the height off of this kite. But notice how droopy the belly is on this kite. That and the fact that it's made from stretchy polyester makes it a really good deep downwind VMG kite if the wind is perhaps from about 18 to as much as maybe 26 knots. This is a very stable kite to go very deep with. And it was actually used by some friends who did Pac Cup 2024, and they said they liked this kite more than any other kite that they had on the boat. This is a shot from a while back of the old main, which we don't have anymore, and the old J3. And since then, the J3 has been recut to have a much higher clew. So you can see it's fairly low here. If you can imagine the clew being up about 4 or 5 feet from here, this sail is now our small reacher, our R3. And it does really good work when the wind is forward of the beam, and that if the jib isn't pulling very well because of the cut of the sail, this sail works really nicely in breeze where you're at about 50 to 60 degrees apparent wind angle, and if the wind is up in the 20s. Excellent sail. And this is a pretty picture, but again, this set of sails came to us. They were very lightweight, lighter than we had expected. In fact, the manufacturer had made some mistakes putting them together, so you can see how transparent they are. And the main essentially fell apart on us in the span of about 2 years. But the jib had a little bit more reinforcement. And again, we've done the same thing with this sail. So instead of being a deck sweeper, this sail has been recut with the clew up above most people's head height and makes it our R1, or you might think of it as a jib top. It's an excellent sail for reaching and higher wind angles, maybe at about 50 to 60 degrees apparent if it's breezy. This is an old set of sails for the boat, but we still have them because they're indestructible. You can see that it was actually, back in the day, this boat used to have roller furling. but that still makes the Dacron J2 that's on here right now a really good delivery sail because it can be eased out pretty nicely, and both of these sails made out of Dacron are essentially bulletproof. So great sails for delivery for bringing the boat back from Hawaii. This is an old all-purpose spinnaker that we still have. You can see it has hand-drawn artwork on it, and I keep it around mainly in case one of the kites blows up and I want to have a backup kite available for it. And this is a very old kite as well that I don't really use for racing much. I think the last time I actually used it in racing mode was for doing single-handed racing here in the bay. Just myself put a snuffer on it and was able to hoist and lower it pretty successfully. It's a big kite, and you can see it's designed to be tacked down to the bow and very deep. So it's really good at going deep, but I wouldn't think of using it very much anymore for racing unless I really had to. So that's all of the kites that are coming along with the boat, just so that you've got an idea. We don't have them on the boat right now. The only ones that are on the boat are the new main, the new jib J2, and I believe the S2, the symmetric, big symmetric kite, along with maybe one of the reachers. I think maybe the jib top is on the boat. So those would be the only ones that are available on the boat to actually look at. The rest of them are in storage in my garage.